Is that not Chief Daniel's daughter? What is she doing outside at this time? Carrying a bag? Shame has wings, it flies even at night. Did you hear? The chief's daughter is pregnant. Another woman clicked her tongue. 6 months, imagine, and he drove her out. But where will she go at night? Who knows? These things happen when children lose shame. Get out of my house! You are a curse in this family! The proud chief shouted. My child, my only child. Oh Lord, where will she sleep tonight? Who will give her water? Who will shield her from the cold? The proud chief kicked his only pregnant daughter out of his house, but after 3 years she returned and shocked him. This not just a story, it's a spiritual connection to the broken hearts. Stay tuned as we dive into the second part of the true life story. Please subscribe to this channel for more life lessons. The whispers grew, carried from one mouth to another, until the whole village breathed the story. Lina walked and walked until her legs could no longer carry her. Past the last house, past the old mango tree, she reached a locked kiosk. Its tin roof shone faintly in the moonlight. She set her suitcase down, leaned against the wooden door, and collapsed to the ground. Her stomach growled, the hunger clawing at her. She opened the small food Mama Grace had tucked in. The beans were sour, the stew smelled spoiled, but she forced a few bites into her mouth. The bitterness made her gag, yet she swallowed. She pulled her wrapper tighter around her thin body. The cold crept in, biting her skin. Her belly rose beneath her hands, and she whispered through tears, My child, forgive me. Tonight I cannot protect you. Tonight even the ground is my bed. She curled against the hard earth, sobbing until sleep came like a thief. At dawn, she woke to murmurs and gasps. A small crowd had gathered around her, women with baskets, men on their way to the farm, children peering curiously. Who is this girl? Why is she sleeping in front of a shop? Is she not the chief's daughter from Greenfield? Hey, I told you, trouble has entered that house. The voices stabbed her heart. She pulled her wrapper tighter, clutching her suitcase, her eyes wide with fear. Then, through the crowd, a tall woman stepped forward. She was dressed neatly, her scarf tied carefully, her eyes unusually soft. Unlike the others, she did not whisper. She did not point. She looked straight into Lina's face. Lina hesitated, fear choking her words. Then she whispered, My name is Lina. My father is Chief Daniel. He sent me away. The crowd gasped. Some shook their heads, others clicked their tongues and walked away. But the tall woman did not move. She nodded slowly. My name is Madame Funka, she said. Come with me. You cannot stay here on the street. Lina stared at her, clutching her suitcase tighter. Why are you helping me? Funka smiled, though her eyes gleamed strangely. Because every woman deserves a roof over her head. Come. You're safe with me. The crowd dispersed, leaving whispers behind. Lina, with trembling legs, lifted her suitcase and followed Funka down a narrow path. And though her body found shelter that day, her spirit trembled, for she had stepped from one storm into another she could not yet see. Madame Funka's home was not grand, but it was safe. The small mud-walled rooms were swept clean, the compound tidy. Smoke curled from the kitchen where beans cooked in a pot, and the smell wrapped around Lina like a mother's arm. Rest here, Funk said kindly, showing her a mat in one of the rooms. You're tired. You will eat soon. Whatever you need, do not be afraid to ask. For the first time since leaving her father's compound, Lina lay down without the cold ground beneath her. She pulled the thin blanket over herself, her hand resting on her belly. She whispered, Maybe this woman is my angel. Mama's prayers sent to find me. In the evenings, Funka would bring her food. Warm yam porridge, sweet pap. Eat, my child, she said. You need strength. She gave Lina soap to bathe, even a small wrapper for her belly. She spoke softly, almost like a mother. Lina began to smile again, though the night still carried her tears. She often stood at the small window, staring at the moon, remembering Mama Grace's arms, the sound of her father's voice before it turned to thunder. Will I ever go home again? She wondered. Weeks later, in the silence of the night, Lina woke with sharp pains in her stomach. She cried out, clutching her womb. Madame Funka rushed into the room. Breathe, child. Hold on. She wiped Lina's sweat, held her trembling hands, and whispered prayers. By dawn, Lina's cries turned into the sharp wail of a newborn. A baby girl, pink and beautiful, lay in her mother's trembling arms. Tears of pain turned into tears of wonder. My baby, Lina whispered, kissing the small forehead. You are my light. She named her Amara, meaning grace. Funka smiled as she watched. A beautiful name, she said. She will bring you joy. Lina believed her. For a time, months passed. Amara grew round cheeks and bright eyes. She laughed when Lina sang. She clung tightly when Lina rocked her. The small house echoed with baby giggles, and even Lina's nights felt lighter. But sometimes, Lina caught something strange. Funka watching the child with too much hunger in her eyes, like a trader sizing a prize goat at market. One night, Lina stirred awake. She heard voices outside the room. Quiet, low, but sharp. She tiptoed to the cracked door, her baby against her chest. Through the gap, she saw Funka standing with a tall, well-dressed man. His shoes shone even in the moonlight. His face was smooth, his smile too polished. He was pointing at Amara, who lay sleeping in her cradle. She is beautiful, the man said. His voice was calm, businesslike. Funka nodded. Fresh, untouched by sickness. You will not find another like her. Lina froze. Her breath caught. The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick bundle of notes. He counted slowly, his voice carrying into Lina's room. 500,000 naira and a bag of sugar. Take it or leave it. Funka smiled and took the money, nodding. Agreed. Tomorrow night, she will be yours. Lina's knees buckled. Her baby stirred in her arms. Her tears dropped onto the child's soft hair. Sell my baby? For money? Her heart screamed silently. She bit her lip to keep from sobbing aloud. She pressed Amara tightly to her chest and whispered a prayer. God protect my child. Do not let them take her. When the man left and the compound grew quiet again, Lina did not close her eyes. She rocked Amara all night, whispering love into her tiny ears. By dawn, while Funka slept soundly, Lina tied Amara to her back with a wrapper, picked up her small suitcase, and crept to the back door. Her heart beat so loud she feared it would wake the house. She pushed the door open. The morning wind rushed in, cool against her wet face. She stepped into the road, her legs trembling but strong enough to carry her. She did not look back. With swollen feet and tears streaming, Lina walked until the village disappeared behind her. Her only thought was clear. No one will buy my child. Not while I breathe. The night sky was still black when Lina slipped out of Madame Funk's back door. The air was cold, her wrapper thin, her baby tied tightly to her back. The money her mother had once pressed into her hand was long gone. All she carried now was a small suitcase, a tired body, and a desperate prayer. Her bare feet slapped against the dust road as she hurried, glancing behind every few steps. Each creak of the trees, each dog bark, each rustle in the bush made her heart pound. If they catch me, if they take Amara. She bit her lip to silence the sob that burned her throat. Sleep, my child, she whispered to the baby on her back, her tears wetting the cloth that bound them together. Do not cry. Do not wake. We must go far, far away from here. Her feet swelled as she walked. The strap of the suitcase cut into her hand. The stars faded into dawn, and still she walked. By midday, the sun glared down. Her throat was dry, her lips cracked. The baby whimpered weakly. Lina stumbled to the roadside, her knees buckling, and sat in the dust. She held Amara to her chest, rocking her slowly, whispering, Don't give up, my little one. Don't give up on me. She spotted a small market ahead and gathered courage. With trembling steps, she approached a tomato seller. "Please, water," she begged softly. The woman looked her up and down, her tired face, her swollen feet, the baby at her chest. The woman hissed and turned away. "Go, I don't have for beggars." Another stall, this one with roasted plantain. "Sister, please, even a small piece. My child is hungry." The man frowned. "If you cannot feed a child, why have one? Move away." He waved her off like a fly. Her stomach twisted, but worse was the ache in her heart. She clutched Amara tightly, walking back to the roadside. She sat under a thorn tree, dust rising around her, tears rolling down her face. People passed, some stared, some whispered, none stopped. The sun burned hotter. The baby cried weakly. Lina pressed her lips to her daughter's forehead. "Forgive me, Amara. Forgive me, my angel. Mama has failed you." She buried her face in her baby's tiny body and wept, her tears soaking the cloth. It was there, on that road of dust and tears, that a sleek black car slowed to a stop. The engine purred, too rich for that poor street. A window rolled down, and a man in a fine suit leaned out. His face was smooth, his smile too bright. He stepped out, squatting beside her in the dust, his cologne mixing with the smell of sweat and poverty. "My dear," he said softly, "why are you sitting here in the hot sun with this little baby?" Lina blinked up at him, tears streaking her dusty face. Her lips trembled, but no words came. The man reached out, brushing a tear from her cheek. "Come with me. I can help you. I will give you and your baby everything you need. No more hunger. No more tears." Lina's heart thudded. His words were sweet, but behind them she felt a shadow, a memory of betrayal. She clutched Amara tighter, whispering, "Not again. Lord, not again." But the man's smile widened. He held out his hand, and Lina, broken, desperate, and weary, stood at the crossroads of trust and danger once again. The sun beat down mercilessly as Lina sat in the dust, her baby crying faintly against her chest. The rich man knelt beside her, his fine shoes sinking into the dirt, his suit far too clean for the world she lived in. His voice was soft, honeyed, every word shaped to soothe. "My dear, you will kill this child if you stay here," he said, his hand hovering near Amara's cheek, but not touching. "The sun is too hot, your body is weak. Look at you. You need food, water, rest. Come with me. I will take care of you." Lina clutched her baby tighter, her arms trembling. Her lips cracked as she whispered, "Why? Why would you help me? You don't even know me." The man smiled gently, lowering his gaze as if humbled. "Because I see suffering, and I cannot ignore it. Because I too have children, and because sometimes God sends strangers when family fails." The words sank into her heart like rain on dry soil. Her eyes filled again. She wanted to believe. She needed to believe. "Please," her voice cracked. "Do not hurt us. Do not hurt my child." The man placed his hand on his chest, swearing softly, "I promise. You are safe with me. Both of you." Her body shook with exhaustion, her legs too weak to keep walking. She had nothing left. Slowly, hesitantly, she placed her trembling hand in his. He helped her up gently, picked up her small suitcase, and guided her toward his sleek black car. The villagers watched from a distance, whispering as the door closed behind her. His house was everything her journey had not been. Wide, painted white, polished floors, furniture that smelled of money. A chandelier glittered above her, too bright for her weary eyes. He led her to a clean room. On the bed was a neat spread, sheets crisp and white. A jug of cold water waited on the table. "Rest here," he said. "I will bring food." When he left, Lina sat on the edge of the bed, her baby in her lap. Tears ran silently down her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for this small mercy." The food came, warm rice and stew, a glass of milk. She ate with trembling hands, feeding Amara soft bits of pap. For the first time in weeks, her stomach filled. Days turned into weeks. He bought her clothes, wrappers in bright colors, sandals that fit. He gave her soaps, creams, even toys for Amara. "Eat well," he would say. "Rest, my dear. You look more beautiful every day." And Lina, fragile and grateful, began to smile again. She swept the floors, cooked small meals to help, sang to her child as sunlight streamed through the windows. She told herself, maybe this man truly was sent by God. But kindness has shadows. Some nights, as she carried Amara to her room, she would feel his eyes following her. His smile lingered too long. His compliments carried hidden weight. "You are a strong woman, Lina. You are more beautiful than you know. Do you know how lucky I feel having you here?" She would laugh nervously, bowing her head, brushing it off. But the unease grew. One evening she entered her room, locked the door, and sat on the bed. She could hear his footsteps in the hallway. They stopped at her door. A soft knock followed. "Lina," his voice came calm, too calm. "Are you asleep?" Her heart pounded. She hugged Amara close, whispering, "Not tonight. Please, God, not tonight." She did not answer. The footsteps moved away, but her sleep was broken. Every night after, she locked her door. But still, the footsteps came. Still, the knocking whispered. Still, his eyes at dinner told her the storm was building. And one night, the lock turned from the outside. The door creaked open. He stood there, smiling gently, stepping into her room. He sat on the edge of her bed, his hand reaching toward her lap. "My dear," he whispered, "in this house, nothing is free. I give, you give. That is how the world works." Lina's body froze, her tears rising before her voice. "But you said we were safe here. You said God sent you." He smiled wider. "And God sent me to remind you, shelter has a price." Amara stirred in her sleep, her small cry cutting the silence. Lina clutched her baby, pressing her back against the wall, her tears streaming, her lips trembling as she whispered, "Please don't. I beg you." Not in front of my child, but he leaned closer, his words heavy with demand. "You owe me." Lina's heart broke in that moment. Not just for herself, but for her baby, for the home she lost, for the world that seemed built only to crush her. She shut her eyes, praying for a miracle. And then fists pounded on the front door. A visitor had arrived. The knock at the front door grew louder, urgent, angry. "Who is there?" the rich man hissed, his voice trembling with frustration. He glanced toward Lina, still clutching Amara against her chest, her back pressed to the wall, tears streaking her face. The knock came again, this time with a shout. "Open this door!" The man cursed under his breath and rose to his feet. "Do not move," he ordered Lina, his eyes sharp, his smile gone. "We will finish this later." He slipped out of the room, pulling the door shut behind him. Lina's breath came in shallow gasps. Her hands trembled so badly she could barely steady Amara, who whimpered softly in her sleep. The baby's small warmth gave her strength. Her eyes darted to the back of the room. The little wooden table, the lantern, the tiny window, and just beyond it, the spare key. She had noticed it once when sweeping and, without knowing why, had hidden it beneath her wrapper. Now, with trembling fingers, she pulled it out. She fitted into the lock. The click was louder than thunder in her ears. "Please, God, please let it open." It did. She didn't wait. She swung the door open quietly, tiptoed down the dark hallway, and reached the back door. Her chest pounded so hard she thought the walls would hear. With her baby tied to her back and her suitcase clutched in her hand, she pushed the back door open and stepped into the night. The cool air hit her face, but she did not pause. She ran. Her legs burned, her feet raw, but she did not stop. Her tears blurred the path. Every shadow looked like his hands reaching for her. Every sound was his footsteps chasing her. She whispered through sobs, "Run, my child, run with me. We must be free tonight. We must live. The moon watched her, pale and silent, as she stumbled through bushes and over stones. Her wrapper tore, her suitcase banged against her thigh. But she clung to both child and hope with all her strength. At last, she saw it. A broken iron gate leaning against cracked pillars, the word church faintly painted above in fading white. Her knees gave way before she reached it. She fell to the ground, sobbing, clutching her baby. "Lord," she cried aloud, her voice raw, her tears soaking the dust. "I have nowhere left to go. If you can hear me, save us tonight. Do not let my child be taken. Do not let my child suffer for my sins." Her cries carried into the compound. From within, dogs began to bark. A flashlight beam cut across the yard. A woman in a wrapper tied tightly around her chest hurried forward, her torchlight shaking with each step. "What is this? Who is crying?" she called out, her voice a mix of fear and concern. When the torchlight landed on Lina, her torn wrapper, her dusty face, her trembling hands holding a baby, the woman gasped. She dropped to her knees beside her. "My dear," the woman cried. "What happened? Whose child is this? Why are you out here at night, crying at the church gate?" Lina opened her mouth to speak, but the weight of exhaustion crushed her. Her body gave way and she collapsed onto the ground, the baby still in her arms. The woman caught the child before she could slip. Amara let out a sharp wail, her cry piercing the night. "Jesus, somebody come quickly!" the woman shouted, lifting both mother and child. "This girl will die here if we don't help." Inside the compound, lights flickered on. Footsteps rushed. The church gate creaked open wider, and for the first time since her father cast her out, Lina was carried not away, but into a place of refuge. Morning light filtered gently through a thin white curtain. The air was cool and smelled faintly of soap and freshly baked bread. Lina stirred, her body aching, her eyelids heavy. For a moment she panicked. "Amara!" She sat up quickly, her heart pounding, scanning the small room. A neat bed, a wooden chair, a jug of water on the table. And at the doorway, a woman's figure framed by the light. It was the same woman who had found her at the church gate. But now her wrapper was neatly tied, her voice soft and steady. "Good morning, my dear," she said with a gentle smile. "You are safe. Do not be afraid." Lina's eyes brimmed with tears. Her lips trembled. Where is my baby?" The woman's smile widened, her voice tender. "Your child is fine. Let me bring her." She stepped out for a moment, and when she returned, she carried Amara wrapped in a clean cloth, smelling of soap and fresh air. The baby's eyes were open, her tiny fists waving in the morning light. When Lina saw her daughter, her breath broke into sobs. She reached out trembling arms. "My baby!" The woman carefully placed Amara into her arms. Lina clutched her child to her chest, kissing her forehead again and again, tears running freely down her cheeks. "You're safe now," the woman whispered, watching them. "No one will take her from you here." Lina looked up, her tears spilling. Why are you helping me? Everyone else chased me away. Even my own father turned me out. Why are you kind to me?" The woman stepped closer, laying a hand gently on Lina's shoulder. "Because God placed you at my gate last night. He wanted you here. My name is Mama Peace. I am the pastor's wife. From now on, this place will be your home." The words fell into Lina's heart like water into dry soil. For the first time since the night her father's gate had closed behind her, she smiled a true smile, weak, trembling, but real. Mama Peace gave her water to bathe, clean clothes to wear, and food to eat. She showed her how to tie her baby with a soft, strong wrapper, how to carry her with ease. In the evenings, Lina sat with the churchwomen who sang and prayed. For the first time, instead of whispers of shame, she heard words of encouragement. "You are strong, my dear. You and your baby will survive. God has not abandoned you." And little by little, the broken pieces of Lina's spirit began to mend. At night, she lay on the clean bed, Amara breathing softly in her arms. She whispered into the darkness, "Thank you, Lord. If this is the beginning of my peace, let me never lose it." Mama Peace checked on her often, teaching her small skills. "Wake early," she said one morning, smiling. "Come, let me show you how to bake small cakes. With these you can start again. You will not depend on anyone's mercy." And Lina listened carefully, learning to mix flour with sugar, to measure, to stir, to wait for the fire. When the first cakes came out golden, she held one in her hands, warm and soft. Tears filled her eyes again. But this time they were tears of hope. For the first time since her exile, Lina believed her life could rise again, just like the cakes Mama Peace placed gently on the wooden table. Days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of Lina's life began to change. Each morning, before the sun broke fully through the clouds, she rose with Amara tied to her back. The kitchen was warm with firewood, the smell of flour and sugar filling the air. Mama Peace stood beside her, patient, guiding her step by step. "Not too much water, my child," Mama Peace said gently, holding her hand steady. "See? Let the dough be firm, like hope, soft, but not weak." Lina nodded, her lips pressed tight, her eyes fixed on the bowl. She wanted to do it right. She wanted for once not to fail. When the first cakes browned in the fire oven, Lina lifted one out with shaking fingers. She held it like a newborn, amazed that her hands had created something good. Tears spilled before she could stop them. Mama Peace wiped them gently away. "Why are you crying, my dear?" Lina's voice broke. Because I thought my life ended the night my father sent me away. But here I am learning to begin again." Mama Peace drew her close, resting her hand on Lina's hair. "Listen to me, child. You are not finished. God is not done with you. Every wound in your heart will one day become a testimony. You are stronger than you know." Lina clung to her, sobbing quietly, like a child who had finally found her mother again. On Sundays, after service, Lina set a small tray outside the church gate, balancing plates of cakes. But the church members stopped to buy. "Ah, this one is sweet. Give me 2 more for my children." "Who baked this? It is better than the market." And when they pointed to her, Lina blushed. She bowed her head, whispering, "Thank you." For the first time in years, people were speaking her name with admiration, not shame. Mama Peace stood at the doorway, watching. Her heart swelled with pride. "Yes," she whispered to herself. "Rise, my daughter, rise." At night, when Amara slept, Lina would sit by the window, her hands still dusted with flour. She would stare at the moon, her heart full of both sorrow and hope. She remembered Mama Grace's tears, her father's thunder, the nights of hunger, the almost sale of her child. She remembered every wound, and yet now, in this quiet place, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. Dignity. She pressed her baby's tiny hand against her cheek and whispered, "Amara, my light. One day, you will know what we survived, and you will see that your mother did not die in the fire." She walked out stronger. Her tears fell onto the baby's hand, but this time, they were not tears of despair. They were tears of a heart learning to heal. But far away, in her father's compound, silence had grown heavy. The flowers around the yard had wilted. Mama Grace no longer sang at the market. Chief Daniel sat in his cane chair, his staff unused, his eyes hollow. The villagers still whispered, not of his wisdom, but of his shame. And though he tried to harden his face, at night he often pressed his head into his palms, whispering into the darkness, "Lina, my daughter, where are you?" The compound that once echoed with laughter now sat silent. The flowers along the pathway had dried into brittle stalks. The paint on the walls peeled like old skin. Even the air seemed heavy, thick with regret. Chief Daniel sat in his cane chair, shoulders bent, staff by his side like an abandoned companion. His once proud voice, the one that commanded meetings, was now seldom heard. For 2 years, no word of Lina reached his ears. The villagers never forgot. Their whispers stung sharper than scorpions. Do you remember when he drove his only daughter out? Pride has no harvest? He thought he was wiser than everyone. Now look at him. He clenched his jaw, pretending not to hear, but inside the words were knives. One afternoon, his old friend, the man who had returned from the UK with smooth words and a smile like oil, came visiting. His name was Richard, the one the chief had once called brother. Richard's laughter filled the compound. My friend, life is opportunity. Money waits for those with courage. I have a business plan, very sure, very clean. If you invest now, your name will shine again. You will never beg for respect. You will never know shame. The words poured like honey into Daniel's ears. His chest, swollen with regret, longed for a chance to rise again. What kind of business? He asked eagerly. Richard smiled, spreading documents across the table. Look here. International export, fast profit, all legal. I myself am doing it. Chief Daniel nodded, his heart pounding. This is it. This is my second chance. They will respect me again. He sold his poultry farm. He sold 2 plots of land in town. He borrowed money from fellow elders. He signed papers with shaking hands. He waited. Days turned into weeks. The promised trucks never arrived. The phone calls went unanswered. One morning, Richard was gone. His house locked. His name vanished. The documents the chief clutched turned out to be nothing but ink and lies. The news spread like fire in Harmattan. Chief has been scammed. His UK brother ate his money and disappeared. This is not the end of this story. Please subscribe for part 3, the most interesting, unbelievable moments in life. You will not believe what happened to the chief. His only pregnant daughter that he kicked out of the house, and his true friend from UK, who sold him fake business documents and disappeared, but finally,